But perhaps, I mean, this is speculation now, but it is possible that the Russians have decided that Trump will not win the election.
Now, back in June, Donald Trump boasted that only he could convince Russia's leader Vladimir Putin to free Evan Gershkovich. And just last night, the former president found the opportunity, speaking to a US podcast, to explain how he would have done it differently.
I got out 59 different people, 59, and I didn't pay money. Once you do that, these deals are going to happen more and more because the amount of things, including cash, that we give up is so astronomical. This is a big deal. And they allowed some really rough people out. You know that, right?
Joining us now is James Nixey, the head of the Russia and Eurasia programme at Chatham House. He specialises in the international relations of the post-Soviet states. Good afternoon to you, James.
Good afternoon.
What's the main thing you take away from what has happened and what this means really for the future?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the main takeaway has to be the human factor. Yes, you don't get many good days as a Russia watcher, or if you're pining for Russian democracy. But actually, yesterday was, I think we have to say, it was almost an unqualified good day. There were some truly extraordinarily brave people who've been through hell, were released back into the Western world, so to speak, and I think we should be thankful for that. Beyond that, in terms of more political analysis you might be looking for from me, then I think actually we have to not indulge in any moral equivalence between the two sides. The fact that the Westerners and the Russians held in Russia were hostages, whereas those who we were holding in European countries principally, they were convicted criminals who had been proven to have performed crimes and misdemeanors. That's one thing. The other thing is we mustn't lull ourselves into any false sense of security that this is now the beginning of a beautiful new friendship with Russia. I'm afraid that the Russian side has learnt from this, not that it can deal with the West, but that hostage taking is a useful instrument in its wider war with the Western world.
A quick word actually also about the British prisoner freed, Vladimir Kara-Murza.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know Vladimir a little bit, and this is fantastic for his wife and his kids. And he is one of the bravest men I've ever met. He is a principled, liberal, charming man who has been poisoned twice by the Kremlin, survived both assassination attempts, we must say. And I think we were all fearing for his safety just weeks ago when he in fact went missing, and we had no trace of him, and we felt that he might have gone the way of Alexei Navalny, of course. But actually, all's well ends well in this particular case. But I would imagine that he will not give up the fight to fight for a better Russia at the end of the day.
What about the political capital? It sounds like a horrible thing to say, but it does exist. That will come out of this in terms of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is kind of talking it down. We'll get to him in a minute. But I suppose in terms of Kamala Harris, she's more relevant now. What do you think it will do for her?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is I agree with you. This is a win, and the American side will spin it as a political, tactical, skillful victory. And to be honest with you, they deserve to. They absolutely, some things deserve that kind of credit and positive spin, because they have been at this for months, if not years. And it's not easy to negotiate with the Russians, quite frankly, because the Russians always want more, more than a pound of flesh, if you like. So I think they deserve it. But it is interesting to note the timing. It could have waited. The Russians could have waited, that is to say, until they knew the results of the US election in March, and then they might have decided to empower Donald Trump with this victory. But perhaps, I mean, this is speculation now, but it is possible that the Russians have decided that Trump will not win the election, and so that was irrelevant. But of course, the Russian side is getting political capital from this as well, and actually not just political capital, although there is support for, obviously it is being spun on Russian television as a victory for Russian diplomacy as well. But more than that, of course, they get people who they can redeploy in the field, use their intelligence, use their knowledge gained, and put them into the field once more.
Hey! Yeah.